Jonesboro because of the growing problem that they're having with the human trafficking issue. It's become an issue around the country, and it's become so severe that we are going to employ all of our resources in order to assist Chief with the PD, the mayor, and the congressman with combating the problem in the area.
Do you feel that, well, I guess I can ask this question to the chief as well. When did you realize that human trafficking in Jonesboro or in the surrounding areas have become such an issue?
Well, we've always known there's been this problem present in our community, and unfortunately, we hear things from time to time, and you know, trying to dedicate and find resources to dedicate and track these things down has been very limited, and you know, we're stretched pretty thin as it is, and as she said, the problem is growing across the country, and there was opportunity for this agent to move into our community to help out, and that's not only just serving Jonesboro, but it's this region, northeast Arkansas area. So I think we'll have a lot of resources. We can dive into this problem and look into it and tackle the issue, and hopefully make a difference. Because I mean, there's people out here that's being victimized, and you know, they need services down the road. They need to be out of this lifestyle. They're going to need counseling and things like that. So, you know, with this whole what we're trying to accomplish here, there's several components to that we're trying to bring to the community, just to give these poor victims the service they need. The people that are involved in this kind of illegal activity, we want them prosecuted.
I don't even know where to start with this, but okay, to realize that there is a problem. I know that I've seen several posts, Facebook and other social media sites about, you know, this person is missing. Unfortunately, I've seen more children than adults missing, and I know several years ago we also had some issues with children missing, quote unquote, but some of them, I don't want to say ran away. They just, I want to go somewhere for the weekend, don't want to tell mom and dad.
Right.
So, but now it's transitioned to a greater problem.
It is. I mean, unfortunately, the problem is, you know, they'll leave for the weekend, but the sad part is, in some occasions, they're being, I guess, just be blunt about it, being pimped out, and which is unfortunate.
Wow.
And so these young children being victimized and used by somebody for profit, and you know, it's not acceptable.
And at what point did you decide, okay, we need to bring in reinforcement, and you know, here's Miss Marianne,
Right.
Miss Mary. So, what discussions did you have with the mayor? I know you can't give us everything, give us, you know, the logistics of it all, but what you can tell us, at what point did you decide I need to bring in somebody else?
Well, you know, this is the thing that we've been evaluating since I took over 5 years ago.
Okay.
You know, this issue, along with everything else I have to deal with in Jonesboro, is, you know, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts.
Okay.
And of course, I have the Internet Crimes Against Children Division, the ICAC division, or my High Tech Crimes Unit division within a department. And of course, they're addressing child pornography and things like this. And this component is part of that.
Okay.
So we have known for years that this is going on, and the more we keep digging into it, it seems like there's more of it. And it's not only, it spreads from here to some of the bigger cities around us, Memphis, Little Rock, things like that. So it's kind of back and forth. And, you know, it's to the point, and we've been working with HSI, you know, over the years anyway.
Okay.
And they've helped train my officers, and so as things keep going on developing, I think it was just a joint effort that HSI saw opportunity that, hey, there's a problem.
Okay.
Of course, we say that, hey, there's a problem, and it was kind of a mutual partnership, you know, kind of come together about the same time.
Okay.
It's like, we have an agent that we can send to you, and it's like, yes, I need an agent. I need those federal resources, and it's great for us because I have another officer in the department that has this vast amount of resources that she can bring to the city and to the department, and I think it just can really enhance what we do day in and day out. So she's been here a very short period of time, and we've already got several things in the works, and I'm just feel blessed to have her here, and that the HSI has done this for us.
All right. And so, Mrs. Marianne, I know again you can't give us all of the details of your plan that you plan to execute, but
Absolutely.
for what you can tell us, what are some of the first steps you want to take or have taken?
Well, the first step is starting to network and build a partnership and developing a task force so that we have a robust team put together so that once we start to combat the issue, we have all of the resources we need.
Right.
It's sort of like a toolbox. You have everything you need just in case you need it.
Okay.
So we start there, and we want the community to understand that it's going to take the whole village to combat this problem. So it's not just law enforcement getting involved and we're going to make things happen. And like I said, there's a lot of federal agents and federal prosecutions that are going to start occurring with this problem because it's so serious in the area that we need to do something about it, because it's not just affecting the community, it's affecting the homeland now.
Okay.
And this is a serious problem. So the first step I'll say is building a task force and a network so that we have everybody fighting together. And if the community wants to get involved, we encourage them to get with their community leaders and get involved in a problem because it's affecting their children.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm here to help, but, well, not just me. Homeland Security is here to help, but we need the community to get involved.
So it's going to take an extensive collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
All right.
There's a big educational component to this also, that when this thing is starting up, there will be a lot of times that we will spend times in different schools and talking to different counselors and teachers and nurses and doctors and things like that, even staff at hotels. How to recognize somebody that may be possibly being trafficked.
Okay.
And I was just going to get into that, maybe for those who may not know, maybe kind of just define human trafficking and what all it entails.
Okay, human trafficking, the definition of human trafficking is the force, fraud, or coercion of an individual to perform a commercial sex act or some form of labor. And that's considered, and there's two types of trafficking, which is sex trafficking and labor trafficking.
Okay.
So some form of labor trafficking, like I said, induced by the force, fraud, or coercion. Now, if the victim is under the age of 18, those elements no longer is needed
Okay.
because a child cannot agree to a commercial sex act.
Okay.
And that's one of the priorities now because we're finding that more children are being violated and re-victimized over and over again. So we really need to do something about it in this area.
And this may be a question for a lawyer or someone in the legal legislative side, but I've been doing some research on the age of consent for Arkansas. Because of what's happening, do you feel that there maybe needs to be some adjustment in that law of what the age of consent,
Or even raising the age?
yes, raising the age of for the age of consent when it comes to sexual interaction? Because right now it's 16 and older, but then there can't be such a big age gap. There's a lot of different details, but 16 is the age that a child can legally consent.
Well, this was adjusted years ago, and it was raised to 16. Prior to that, it was
Raised.
yeah, you know. So that's something that legislators could look at, but I don't know if they get into this or not.
Again, that's state law.
Okay.
Federal law is still 18.
It's still 18.
Yes.
Okay.
And Ms. Mary, I believe you may have a presentation that you want to do. I'm looking at, we got about 9 minutes in the second one. Make sure that we get in. So Q, if you can hit the turn the aux button on the board on.
HSI is. This short video clip will give you a better understanding of who we are and what we do. We're not just immigration and we're coming here to just deport a whole bunch of people. We're here to actually conduct investigations.
All right, so here we go. Hopefully this.
And what it is we do and the type of laws we enforce.
Okay, and for those of you that were on the radio, I didn't know this is only an instrumental, but you go on our Facebook Live, you can go back and you can watch and actually see what was presented on the video.
All right. And so we do have a couple of Facebook comments. Want to make sure address people. We're not ignoring. Sorry. All right. So good morning to David Carnes, Ms. Cora Evans, Hester, and David says, "Good morning, Chief, and everyone at KLK. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you to all of our men and women in blue, and pray for their safety daily."
Yeah, thank you, David, and good morning, Cora.
And Megan Brown adds, "Good morning, Mary Ann. So glad to hear you on KLK this morning."
And good morning to one of our own men in blue, JJ Hagan, Officer Hagan.
Good morning.
All right, so let's go ahead and get back into our conversation about how, I don't know, how we're going to address, and I say we collectively because I'm a part of this community as well, and I have a child here, and you know, we have seen stories of adults being trafficked. Yesterday I had a conversation with Miss Megan about how some people become vulnerable depending on their life situation, and they are exploited because of that. So how can we collectively as a community really get more involved in helping you all do your job?
With the human trafficking, it's very important that you do get involved in some way. When it comes to some of the victims, it's just trying to reach out to them, trying to give them some assistance. A lot of the victims that I've encountered, they're not familiar with what a normal home life is like. They suffer from self-esteem issues. And I think that's something as a community we can work on. And even with the traffickers, some of the traffickers are community people or people they're affiliated with. And it's about getting engaged. And if you think something is wrong, you know, ask questions or report it. We also have information, and I have some indicator cards that I've been passing out to the community so that they'll be aware of what it is human trafficking may look like. And the thing is, human trafficking doesn't have a face. It can be anywhere, any person from 8 to 80, any ethnic background. It can be any gender. And we want the public to be aware of trafficking come in all shapes and sizes, and it can be anyone.
I just want to say that this is definitely a topic of interest. We actually have a record number of viewers for one of your segments, Chief. We're at like 30 plus viewers. Mm-hmm. So definitely this is something that's definitely hitting home and resonating. For those of you watching on our Facebook Live feed, please share the video so that this information can get out into the community so that the community can be better prepared.
Right.
And we'll be also offering some trainings throughout the community on human trafficking. So they can tune into the radio station or call the Jonesboro Police Department. And before I forget, there's also a local hotline number that we want everyone to be aware of. If you suspect someone is being trafficked.
And I'll put that in the comments.
Okay. We want you to call 870-336-7256.
And hold on just a second. Let me get that one more time.
870-336-7256.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower.
All right, we had to top it out. We'll be back in a second. This is KLK.
The voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Jonesboro's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Wednesday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. Temperatures in the 50s to near 60. A west wind at 10. Partly cloudy overnight, about 38, 39 for the low. Thursday should be partly to mostly cloudy near 60. A weather front coming in Thursday night with clouds and showers. It'll be cooler, low to mid 40s. And low 50s Friday with a blend of sun and clouds in the forecast. Educate, entertain, and empower. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. NATO leaders have agreed a statement at a summit near London reaffirming their bond, despite divisions in the military alliance. Germany's expelling 2 Russian diplomats over the murder of a man in a Berlin park. There have been more than 100 bomb scares in Moscow in the past 2 days, which authorities believe are linked to extortion attempts, and 7 people are confirmed dead in Uganda, and many are reported missing after 2 separate landslides in the east of the country.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. Apologize for that abrupt ending from the last segment. We're going to continue on with our conversation with Jonesboro Police Department's Chief Rick Elliott and from Homeland Security Investigations, Mrs. Mary Ann Doffeny. All right, so let's go ahead and continue our conversation. You all were discussing, Miss Mary, you were discussing about giving out some cards, some information, and I want to ask this question because you said trafficking has no face, no gender, no identity. Mm-hmm. It could be anyone, any place, any time. And all the times we see people with others and their behavior is different. So will you try to educate individuals on how to recognize behavior that's not normal, not just some personality flaw?
Usually it's a change in behavior because they start to disassociate themselves from family and friends. Okay. They get multiple phones. A particular phone, they don't give out that number. They're very discreet when they're sending text messages on that number. Mm-hmm. Their dress may change.
In what way?
They become more provocative in their clothing.
Okay.
They get these suspicious type of friends that they don't introduce their family and friends to. We need to be aware of those things.
Okay.
And like I said, there's so many indicators. And like I said, you can also look them up online for human trafficking indicators. We have a site that you can visit. It's the Blue Campaign site. Okay. And they partnership with Homeland Security. and they can give you extensive information on human trafficking, the indicators, what it looks like. They offer training as well, and you all can go to that website and look it up.
And let's talk about the impact that human trafficking has on families. It's got to definitely be devastating to families affected.
Absolutely. First of all, human trafficking has been reported as a $150 billion business a year. It also affects the community, the children, the safety of the community. And this is something we need to start paying attention to, because we're losing our kids, not just to violence, but also to human trafficking. Because once those children are violated, or even as adults, once they're violated by a human trafficker, it changes their whole perspective on life.
Absolutely. One can only imagine the horrors that would come with that.
Yeah, and they're forming networks. And what's important is that we start to identify the problem in dealing with the issue, because by ignoring the problem, the criminals are starting to successfully develop networks across the country. So where your child may be here today, they may end up in California tomorrow. They may end up in Atlanta. They may end up overseas on somebody's yacht, being trafficked. I mean, it's really becoming a growing problem throughout the country, and we really need to pay attention to it.
Yesterday I was having a conversation with Miss Megan about, we both have seen several videos of people just coming up and snatching kids or snatching people. And Chief, we talked about this whole locking your cars, being mindful in parking lots and things of that nature. Now you have to be even more vigilant about your surroundings and become more aware. Put your phones down. We say that all the time.
Right. We constantly preach, stay off the phone when you're in the parking lot and when you're going from your vehicle into the business. Not just for this, but for, set yourself up for theft or just being victimized about anything.
Here, yes.
So leave the phones down. And we're coming into the holiday season, and there's a lot of shopping and things like that going on, a lot more traffic on the parking lots. There's nothing that important to put your personal safety at risk that you have to be on that cell phone, especially tweeting or Facebooking something. Just put it down, go in, take care of your business, and then come back and go home and post, tweet, do whatever. But don't do it in the parking lot. I want to say older, and years and years ago, I want to say like the 80s, 90s, it was avoid people in vans offering you to come see a puppy or candy and things. Right. It's elevated so much more.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of vans anymore.
Yeah.
And people get suspicious they see a van.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad ours is wrapped.
But you need to be suspicious of even friends and family members. Why a person want to befriend you so much that you don't know. Why a person wants to invite you and offer you so many gifts and financial gain for no reason. Sometimes you have to think about it. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Okay. All right, so...
And of course, if you have a question or a comment, you can call us at 870-277-1080 or leave your questions or your comments on our live feed. Please share this video for those that are watching. We definitely want to make sure that we get the word out about this.
Yes, we definitely want the community to become more involved. These are our children. These are our community members. These are our neighbors. And we need to become more aware of what's happening. I've been guilty of not being aware of who lives in my neighborhood, but I guarantee you now that I am keeping my eyes open just a little bit more. I'm taking extra measures, locking my doors and keeping, I don't want to say weapons, Chief, I don't have a gun, but keeping things in the house to, hopefully protect myself in the event someone tries to intrude on my space.
And don't be afraid to check your kids' cell phones. Find out what type of pictures they're sending. A lot of those provocative pictures they're sending, once it's gone out into the internet, it's out there. It's not coming back. And predators are using those photos to post ads of your kids and traffic your kids. So you need to be aware of that. And then they're putting all their information online, where I'm going, what school I attend, where you can find me. where you can target me. And you need to be aware of that as parents and actually get involved. It's just so, the kids are so vulnerable right now with social media. And we need to be aware of who they're talking to, where they're going at all times. And we want them to know there's help out here available for them. Mm-hmm. And I can't answer for what happened, in their past and how things were handled when it came to them being violated. But I want them to know that Jonesboro is working now to help them. We're here and we have the resources and we have the ability to help them and to heal a lot of the damaged trauma kids in the area. As far as, and not just kids, even adult, because a lot of the juvenile victims grow up to be adult victims. So their needs are just as important.
I want to read this Facebook comment and get your thoughts on this. Donna Puryear says online gaming is very scary as well. So let's talk about that. I know a lot of I hear a lot of people talk about Fortnite and all these other games and how people are groomed that play these games. So kind of touch on that a little bit. Well,
Again, like I said before, the traffickers are very patient. So they'll become your partner in a gaming system or anything, any type of group chat or anything like that they find you interested in. They'll start to befriend you and they'll start grooming you for the whole process. And once they build that trust or you have that trust in them, they'll get you and they'll force you to become a trafficking victim. And trafficking is very different. Okay, we have drug trafficking, we have human trafficking. With drug trafficking, it's a drug that you sell. You buy the supply, you sell the drug, the deal is done. In human trafficking, you can sell that person over and over and over again and make money off of them for years. And so, like I said, it's a very profitable business.
Wow. Okay. Chief, with your Crimes Against Children division, again, I know you can't go into a lot of details about the things that they find, but do you have people now adjusting their searches to search those dark webs and look for those advertisements? And have you ever had to contact a family saying, we found this online, a family in Jonesboro?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. The answer to your question is yes, and it's not just recently. This is something, since this division was created several years ago, that we've been looking at and dealing with, and there's been many times we have intercepted things and had some prevention, and then unfortunately we've had occasions where some of these kids get on the internet and meet somebody and then run off and end up in another state, a young child with a grown man, that ended up several states away, because that person had spent time on the internet and had groomed them, and the next thing you know, she runs off, and now we got a missing child. It's with an adult and who's doing who knows what, and they're several states away. So this is the reason why we have this division. This is one component of it. Identifying people that are downloading child pornography and distributing child pornography, and the dark web things. When we talk about the internet crimes against children, I mean it covers a multitude of things. And this division was largely funded by the feds. I mean, my officers were trained by HSI. They were trained by United States Secret Service. And the good thing about that is the training was free, and we got out of it was hundreds of thousands of dollars of free equipment. Okay. It didn't cost the taxpayers or my budget. So, on a budgetary standpoint, I benefited from it. The taxpayers of Jonesboro benefited from it because we didn't have the money to buy this kind of equipment. We didn't have the money to do this kind of training. So this is an investment that this department made years ago into this program, and we're just keeping this program going. And by adding Marianne into the mix, just enhancing what we already have, and we're just expanding what we're already doing, and being more proactive. And that's the key to the whole thing is we want to be proactive in our community. We want to identify the problem. We want to educate the community on the problem, and then get these poor victims resources that they need, or directed to these resources. And then the ultimate goal is put a stop to it.
Yeah.
And I want people to know, if you're involved in this kind of activity, I'm going to catch up with you at some point in time, and I'm going to put you in jail, and it's going to be the federal penitentiary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just heads up.
All right, and kind of reiterating about being vigilant, being aware. It starts at home, and Ms. Marion, you mentioned that some people do have unstable home lives. We've just got to start. Okay, some people say it's not my house, it's not my business, it's not my problem, but it is. Essentially, it is, and we have to stop being afraid to intervene when it's potentially life and death, when it's someone's psychological health and well-being at stake. We have to say, okay, I need to step outside of myself. No, you don't want to get into a fight. You don't want to. Anyway, we need to start doing more, being better neighbors to each other.
If it's no more than reporting,
Right.
I mean, it's significant. You just need to get involved at some level.
Yes.
Because it may be that one encounter you have, when you see that victim, that may be their only out. At that very point, that may be the only opportunity that they have to get out of that lifestyle.
Yes.
So it's really important. It may not be your child or your family member today, but it may be tomorrow.
Okay. And I think you mentioned that you will be going to schools and talking.
We have been.
We have been. So will you also provide some type of training for like the school counselors, resource officers, and teachers? I know the teachers are already overwhelmed with trying to teach the curriculum. However, they are with the student a good majority of the day. So are you going to try to help them recognize signs that something may be going on with their child, and how to start having those conversations?
Absolutely. We're working with the teachers, but we also are going out directly to provide training.
Okay.
And we're going to give the resources that they need to get all of the information and the training and awareness that they need. We're going out, we're putting out material all over the city, all over the Jonesboro area, northeast area actually. And we're educating and bring awareness to the growing problem of the human trafficking issue. And like I said, Homeland Security investigates a whole big array of investigations or programmatic areas, should I say. However, right now, human trafficking is one of the priorities because it's affecting the children of the Northeast region, and that's very important. It's ranging from the urban areas to the suburban areas. So, like I said, it's no limit. And Chief, the Jonesboro PD has been working very hard to combat this problem, but it's growing so rapidly that they need the assistance from from their federal partners, and we're going to give them all the help they need.
And just hearing that is, I don't know, Miss Chantel Don Jenkins Leggett says this is crazy. That was my sentence. That's like human trafficking, as running so rampant in our area that we need backup. Like our police department needs. It's just unfathomable for me. Like, have we been living in a bubble that we're oblivious to what's really happening?
Unfortunately, that a lot of folks really don't realize what goes on in the world of policing day in and day out.
Right.
And if you came and walked in my shoes for a week, you'd be totally amazed of what actually takes place in the world of policing. This is why we encourage our Citizen Police Academy program, is to bring people in and educate them what we do, and they get a better idea of what's actually going on. And it's an eye-opening experience. But we're a growing city, a fast-growing city. We're at that 80,000 mark, and then you've got the college out here, and then what's coming to town just to shop and do business day in and day out. You're looking at 120, 130,000 people, running around our streets right now during the day. So there's a lot of people in this area, and then you look at the area surrounding us, and the fact that we're becoming a shopping area. We have medical facilities, so you got people well over 100 miles driving to Jonesboro to do business. And sometimes the along with the good comes some of the bad, and this is part of the bad that comes in, along with the drug trafficking, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we recognize these problems, not just this, but the drug trafficking, this is why I created the Second Judicial Drug Task Force to help law enforcement coordinate our efforts working together in Northeast Arkansas to combat organized crime activity, and this is part of that. So I've been reaching out to our federal partners for several years now. I have several officers credentialed as federal agents.
Yeah.
So they now have access to federal resources and training and things like that. And then their authority is not limited by the city limits of Jonesboro. Being credentialed as a federal agent, and their authority is the United States. So these investigations, they do go broad sometimes. They do go out beyond the city limits of Jonesboro. They may go into Little Rock or to Memphis or whatever. But you know what? We're going to take that investigative lead, and we're going to run it down until we can make a case and prosecute that case.
Yeah.
So by networking with our federal partners and other law enforcement agencies, we're going to hopefully see a lot more results and be more efficient in what we do.
Okay.
And part of the problem is because the major cities are becoming very aggressive in prosecuting human trafficking.
Okay.
The city that I came from in assisting in prosecuting human trafficking was New Orleans. And that was a major city because we have a lot of live events, a lot of community involvement, a lot of visitors coming to like the French Quarters and all of those areas. And we had a very successful task force in New Orleans, and the prosecutors were very aggressive. And that's what we're going to be bringing to Jonesboro, because even if the listeners do the research, in New Orleans we had traffickers getting up to 100-year sentences. So we're really serious about combating it here. So we want everybody to be aware, and we want the community to know we can't do it alone. Okay. In addition to that, because we're Homeland Security Investigation and we deal with cross-border crimes, we also want the community to understand, if you have a Hispanic community or foreign national, if you're a victim of human trafficking, your immigration status does not matter. And we have immigration reliefs in place in order to assist victims of human trafficking. So don't be afraid to report.
Okay. I'm going to try to get this comment in before we get ready to go to break from Ms. Donna Puryear. She says, how about some type of training for parents, relatives on how to check certain apps on phones, online gaming, etc. I know I feel somewhat educated when it comes to technology, but still don't know how to check or operate some apps, or to check gaming online systems. And so we may have to dive into that because we're getting ready for our break, and so I don't want you to be cut off.
We do. Actually, we do have some brochures available at the police department on those kind of things. But this educational component, there's going to be a lot of it throughout the community.
Okay. All right, so we're going to put a pause right there. We'll come back and we'll wrap up our discussion. Thank you, Ms. Donna, for that comment.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. But please do not go away. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Husbands, how should you handle a house divided? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Somehow a small disagreement turned into a major dispute. You and your spouse continued to fight until it got out of control. Now you're left standing alone in the kitchen, knowing she's upstairs in the bedroom with a hurting heart. Our first instinct is to stand our ground and win the argument. But when you do that, nobody really wins. So, what should you do? Hold your spouse higher than your pride. Don't focus on being right. Focus on the relationship. Keep your eyes on the goal of having a peace-seeking, joy-filled marriage. Remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Twitter? You can. Follow him at twitter.com/Mark Merrill.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a non-profit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and Jonesboro Kappa League at gmail.com.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information.
Hi, I'm R-Dub, host of Sunday Night Slow Jams, with a special invitation to join me this Sunday night. We're gonna slow it down and make the most of the last few moments of your weekend. With slow jams and special expressions to the ones you love. So come on through and bring a friend. I'll see you for Sunday Night Slow Jams. Sundays from 8 to midnight on 102.5 KLEK.
Stark's Auto Plaza at 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard is a proud KLEK supporter, offering luxury pre-owned vehicles sold wholesale to the public. At Stark's, we never say no. 870-203-9980. Details at starksautoplaza.com.
Call a friend and tell them to listen in. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
Jonesboro Coca-Cola is proud to support KLEK and its mission to serve Jonesboro and the surrounding area. From Jonesboro Coca-Cola, here's wishing all of KLEK listeners a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and
pour me out. This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Community Conversations. This is our final segment with our special guest, Chief Rick Elliott and Miss Mary Ann Doffeny. Oh, right, Mrs. Sorry. All right, so we're going to just wrap up our conversation. Human trafficking is a very, very, very serious issue. I know we've taken up the whole hour, but we needed to have this conversation. We need to start this conversation.
Right.
We see things on the news. I recently saw a story. 11-year-old girl, was it Tennessee, met someone on TikTok. You know, these apps that are supposed to, well, they're advertised as social media or just entertaining, there's a darker side to all of them. And so, my goodness, it makes you just not want to give your kids a phone. Go back to having a house phone. Just like call me when you get home from school. Stay in the house, lock the door. Don't do anything else.
That's why it's important for parents to look at their kids' phones and see what they're looking at and downloading and things like that. Mm-hmm. Especially young kids, you can set up parental controls on these smartphones. Take time, and if you don't know how to do it, find somebody that can help you through that process. Worst comes worst, you can contact the police department, and our people in our CAC division can help you out. But parents at first, it all begins at home. So you got to do your part and seeing what your child's up to and things like that, and educate them and warn them that predators are out there.
Yes.
Your child may be thinking they're talking to another 13-year-old guy, boy or girl, and then it could be some 30, 40-year-old man. And we do this. We set up stings like this all the time on the internet.
I mean, it's just to think about it happening. I know that Jonesboro is not exempt from anything happening, but just still to think it's happening in our own backyard, it's scary.
It is scary. This is just part of life. These are the challenges that we face day in, day out in our community. And like I said, we have to be proactive. And I've said it 1,000 times.
Say it again.
Policing is not a spectator sport. Yeah. It takes the community to be involved to make your community a little bit safer place.
Alrighty. So we're going to get ready to wrap up. We have about 2 minutes. So any final words, Mrs. Marianne?
I just want, we're happy to be here. HSI, we came to Jonesboro and we want to make a difference here.
Okay.
But we can't make a difference if the community doesn't get involved. Like I said, we need everyone to get involved and protect your children, protect your vulnerable population, and we're just here to provide whatever assistance we can.
All right. So we definitely thank you all, and I hope that we see more collaborations with the community. As long as you're here in Jonesboro, please feel free to reach out to us. Chief is here every first Wednesday of the month, so if you would like to join him again, or you want to do a special segment, we'll be happy to find a spot on our calendar to have you on to talk about some updates and things that are happening. And we would love to hear from you, the community. How do you feel about this? Now that you have this information, what's next? What now? What are you going to do to help eradicate? Well, I know that's kind of a big word. We may not ever be able to eradicate it, but
we're going to make a difference.
Involved. Yeah, and it's not the time to be afraid. We don't want you to be afraid. We want to equip you so that you're strong, you're vigilant, and you're doing something to make a difference in your community.
That's right. I mean, these are our babies. I know I keep saying our babies. Adults are victims as well, but just thinking about the babies who are the most vulnerable and who are at a point where they can't always protect themselves. I watched a video. I don't remember what state it was in. A lady was in a store shopping. She literally turned, a moment, and a man was stalking her through the store. He saw his moment and tried to grab her daughter, and the lady fought tooth and nail before he got out the door. By the grace of God, there was an off-duty officer in the parking lot just coming to shop, and he saw what went down. So thank God that situation didn't go any further than it did, but who knows what could have happened if the mother wasn't vigilant. The store, other people in the store, and then there was an officer there. So,
and just be aware, it's not just in public environments. It can be happening right in your home with a friend of the family, a family member, a friend at school. It can happen with anybody. So just be mindful.
And that's the even more scary part that, and I'm just going to say this from the Black family, in our community. We're the type of, you see something, don't say anything, don't tell anybody what's happening in our home. We need to stop that. We just have to.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chief, CPA applications, anything else happening with JPD?
CPA, we finished our last segment. We will start a spring session of our Citizen Police Academy program. Applications are available on our website, jonesboropolice.org. HSIjonesboro.com. Also, our monthly reports are available on the website for your viewing. If you'd like to look at crime stats and things of that nature in Jonesboro, what's actually going on, that information is available for your viewing.
All right, so we thank you so much for joining us, and it was so great to meet you, Mrs. Marianne.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
So I know we'll have many more conversations after this.
Okay.
All right, and Chief, thank you for all the hard work that you all do. I know that there's been some stuff happening in our city, but thank you all for the hard work that you do.
And I would like to encourage everybody to look at the link to understand more of what HSI is and what it is we do.
Okay, so we also put some information into our Facebook Live feed, so go back and watch the video if you missed any part. Good morning to Mr. Dwayne Harden. Miss Megan says there's some programs out there that help monitor your kids' online activity that I like to recommend. Our Pact, Bark, and Circle by Disney. So parents, get those kids' phones, put those monitoring systems on there, put up those parental controls, do whatever you have to do to keep your kids safe. And Ms. Donna says, good segment. Thank you so much, Ms. Donna, for checking in. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening, watching, and supporting KLEK. Thank you for everyone that supported us yesterday on Giving Tuesday. The giving doesn't have to stop, not just with KLEK, but all local nonprofits. So take care of the organizations that take care of your community. All right, and that'll do it for your Wednesday, well, the first edition of Community Conversations. Coming up, we have some members from the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Today is their Founders Day, so it's going to get a little ice cold in the studio in a moment. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after these announcements.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 101.